So in our next box of tricks, we have a game changer. Let's crack into it and see what we've got. Can you believe the size of these things? We're going to install these Ape Hangers onto this bike just to raise the riding position. Now, the problem with handlebars like this is if they're not installed correctly and you hit something or hit the brakes, there's a chance that the weight of your body can push the handlebars forward and down you go. But I do have a few tricks up my sleeve just to make sure that these are mounted safely and securely. Man, they look cool. So the next job is to remove all the hardware off the handlebars here and start to transfer them over to the Ape Hangers. Let's see how we go. All right. So these ridiculous handlebars are installed. Now, the angle of them isn't terribly important for the time being. This is a really, really big bike. Oh, so let me just sit up here. All right. Now, I'm propping myself up because I can't actually, I'm not a short person, but I am on my tippy toes on this bike. So, I've got my big handlebars installed, but the problem is of course these cables now no longer reach where I need them to. What I'm going to have to do is try to extend our cables, and if I'm lucky, I might just have the hardware lying around that will let me do just that. So, we're getting there with this build. One of the things that I do like about building bikes is the challenges that come with each unique build. And where are we? This bike here with its ginormous handlebars have presented a unique problem of the cables not being long enough. My solution are these. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run outside into the house, pinch, I need 3 cables, 2 for the brakes and 1 for the gear selector. I'm going to grab those cables and we're going to join them. It's not perfect. I'm a little bit worried about them slipping. I'm fairly confident this will work. God knows I've done dodgier stuff on the bikes. So the next thing for me to do now is go find some cables. So what I intend on doing is taking the cable out of each control, so the gear selector and front and rear brakes, replacing it with this cable, then figuring out how much I need, cutting these ones to a suitable length, and then joining them with these little brackets here. So this is an experiment and we won't know what it's going to look like until we give it a go and just see how we sit. All right. So right now I'm just going for proof of concept. I've threaded one of the new / old cables right the way through, and now I'm just going to attach one of those brackets to the existing bike cable and see if we can't get the brakes to work without slipping. Basically, these are tiny, tiny little nuts on here. We're going to unthread them all the way because I don't want to slice the knob off the end of that. So we're just going to slip the little U-bolt over both cables and then back through that bracket. Son of a bitch. Don't do it, Nick does. So this is basically how we're looking at the moment. Now I've not done that up over tight because I don't want to crimp the wires. But what I want to see is when all the way up here, when I squeeze this, I want to see movement down here. And of course I'm not seeing anything. I'm sure that I can make this work, but probably not something that I can do while the video is rolling. So I'll check back in either once I've gotten something working or I've given up and I have to try something else. Well, I'm going to give myself credit for trying. But I've got this far and it's only just occurred to me that I've brought in a cable that's long enough to reach the brake calipers anyway. So, whilst this was a good idea in theory, at least for the brakes, not necessary. I was thinking about the gear selector, and my solution is just to mount it on the side of the bar there. It still should be fairly easy to change. You don't really need to use the gears that much when you've got a motor on the bike. It's just pick a gear that's easiest to start off with and let yourself go. So I'm going to have to actually take the bars out and thread them through here first and then tighten it all back up. And that's another reason why I didn't tighten this down all the way yet either, because we're all just test fitting at the moment, seeing what we can make work. So I'm going to go ahead and thread that through. So I'm going to stand on this side. Gear selector goes here. And we're going to mount it vertically on the bar. Which means I need to get, this is only going to work if I can get around the corner. Something I didn't even think about, to be honest. I don't think I can. No, that's not going to work. Well, that was a nice idea, but I just can't get this around the curve in the bar. Which all I needed it to do was get around one corner to work. Well, the front brakes are mounted. The gear selector proved a challenge. But I've come up with a rather elegant solution. I had enough room in the neck there to raise the bars because they were all the way down from the beginning. So our gear selector is now around the neck. Now, ideally you'd want a little bit more meat down there, but the bar's about that long and we've only taken up half the space of it. So it's inelegant, but it means so far all I've had to do is replace one cable, and I haven't had to figure out how to get my little cable joining brackets to work. The only challenge remaining to me is connecting the rear brake. And so I'll let you know when I come up with a solution for that. Probably a variation of my first attempt at extending the cable. So we'll see how that goes. It might have taken me all afternoon, but I've finally sorted out the back brakes. As far as I can tell, the brakes are working. So, at first, the mistake I was making, these things are just ridiculous. The mistake I was making was trying to join the shorter cables here. But of course, when you pull the cable, it just flops around and doesn't actuate anything at the rear. So in fact, what I've done, you can see that's still the standard brake cable. I've joined it, focus, up under here with these two cable locks. I tried doing one, but it was slipping. So I put the second one in and it seems to be working well enough. If we can just get this thing to focus. I've got a third one, which I might try if I feel like two's not secure enough, but that feels pretty secure. There's still a decent amount of slack in there, and I made sure that I can still take up some slack. Put my flash on again. Take up some of the slack here, which I will do because it's always a good idea. So I think we're just about ready to take this out for a test drive, because there's no point in putting a motor on here if it's not going to work as a bicycle. So I need to go around and make sure that everything's tight, tighten up my levers, tighten up my handlebars. I made sure the stem was nice and tight when I put our gear selector in here. All I really want to do is I'm just going to get some tape. For now, I'm just going to tape this up out of the way and we'll go get kitted up and see how this thing works as a push bike. And depending on how we go, we'll start looking at unboxing the engine. I'm excited actually. Breathe in. So the gear shifter on the stem is unusual, but it's not terribly far out of reach.